everybody? This is GeekSet Radio. We are back. We had a little mini hiatus last week. I was actually in Atlantic City celebrating my anniversary, so shout out to me and my girl for that. I know you guys care and everything. But anyway, my name is Judd, running everything. As always, I got my main man Danny with me.
What's up, people? Danny, a.k.a. Newark Hip Hop.
So you know the drill, everybody. We're going to run through. This is your one-stop shop for tech and entertainment and pop culture. So, like always, we're going to start off with our tech segment. So, Google's always known for their innovation and everything like that, but they're fixing to crush the buildings right here. Google Fiber get their formal launch in Kansas City. Basically, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, they're offering internet, cable, gigabyte a second downloads. Danny, what do you think about the whole, I know you and I both are big-time Google heads. How do you think this is going to affect the game?
I'm excited about this. I heard about this last year when they first announced it. And the announcement was made and they're really, there was kind of a big deal, but then it kind of died off. And now they just fully unveiled it. And like I said, it's big. I mean, you're getting, just look at the speeds, 1 gigabyte up and down speeds. Like that is so fast that the only issues that have been brought up with Google Fiber is that there's no hardware. I mean, there's no software capable of keeping up with those speeds. Like the current system that's in place now is not able to keep up with those speeds. That's been the only negative feedback I've read about so far with it. But I mean, just imagine what you can do with those type of speeds as far as streaming flicks goes, downloading flicks, movies, music. Just like this is the future pretty much, and Google, like always, is ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I think the big thing about it that's got me, you, and everybody else who does the majority of their shit from the internet is like they have no caps. They're not like, oh, well, you can only use 200 gigs a month or whatever. There's no caps, there's no speed, there's no throttling, nothing. A gig. Obviously your neighborhood is going to slow down a little bit, but that's better than anything else that's out in the game. Verizon has, 300 megabytes?
Pretty much,
second, I think?
Pretty much, and they're like the fastest ones out right now.
Yeah, and it's like 80 or no. It's like $100 some dollars a month, I think.
Yeah, it is. I think it's like $160 a month.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. Verizon's expensive anyway. But the other thing, aside from the actual internet service itself that you're getting, along with the cable, I guess, so to speak, for lack of a better term, you get a whole bunch of fucking goodies with it. You get your network box. It's got an Ethernet router. It's got Wi-Fi built in. It's a Wi-Fi access point. You get 2 terabytes of storage, and you can record 8 shows at one time. And your remote is, and I think this is the coolest thing out of all of it, is you get a Nexus 7 to use as your remote. That's all included in the package.
Yeah, like I said, they have 3 different packages. Basically, it's internet and TV packages. The first one is Gigabyte Plus TV package, which, like I said, it brings all major channels plus fiber channels of their own, which we don't know exactly what those are yet. And
they're going to have to add some kind of sports package for a lot of people to start. I know the big thing is they didn't have ESPN in there, and for some people, myself, I know you're not a big sports head, but a lot of people were like, oh man, like it's really good. But I think for those prices, I would be like, fuck it, I'll watch my games online.
And yeah, I mean, with that, they're already. Right. I read a Huffington Post thing that they're working with that. They're trying to work with ESPN to get a deal. I mean, if they get that deal, that'll pretty much seal it up. But
yeah, the buildings are crushed if they get ESPN.
Yeah, and I mean, even without this, like I said, I wish I was in Kansas right now, because that's pretty crazy.
Kansas City ain't much but barbecue.
And I mean,
confusing ass streets.
They have the Gigabyte Plus TV package is going to run you $120 a month, but still, so that's giving you 1 gig, give or take, up and down speeds. You're getting a Nexus 7. You're getting the 2 terabytes worth of storage. Then, if you just want to skip the TV and just get the internet, you're looking at $70 a month. And then if you just want to have, they have like their lowest tier plan. If you just pay the construction fee, which is $300, you get 5 megabytes speeds worth of internet free for 7 years. So for $300, you get free internet for 7 years, which is, like I said, all the packages are a major win. And let's see, like I was telling people over at the Cali, this is going to roll out. If this Kansas City thing is successful, this is going to roll out to all other places. And it's already a successful launch. And if they did it in a place like Kansas City, imagine if they offer this in LA or New York next. People are going to jump on this. Like I said, I wish they bring this somewhere even remotely to where I live. Because I would be on it.
Yeah, I think the other thing, just thinking out of the box a little bit like I do, is that, you're starting to read about a lot of cities are doing like a Wi-Fi area where I think New York City has Wi-Fi repeaters everywhere in Manhattan now, and they're moving to the different boroughs. So can you imagine the Wi-Fi speeds that you would get if a city like New York has a gigabyte per second down hardwired, and they push that signal out as Wi-Fi? That's going to be great for tourists, for people that work downtown, and people that live downtown. That's going to save a lot of people a lot of money if you really think of the big picture from a neighborhood and city point of view.
Everything would go like that. This changes everything. A lot of time, I don't know if a lot of people, maybe tech heads like us and people that listen to us know this, but the U.S. has some of the slowest broadband speeds in the world. I mean, we're obviously not dead last or anywhere near the bottom, but European speeds are off the hook. Like some of them are almost what the Fios and a little bit below what this is. European and some of the Asian countries. Like our speeds are a joke, and like I said, Google's pushing the envelope with this, and I'm like for one, I'm happy for them. I want this thing to succeed 110%, because this is the future, people. This is the future, like you said. Imagine Wi-Fi hotspots now, just being able to have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, at this speeds everywhere you go. Even if you're in a train tunnel, you're on a bus, you're going across a bridge, anywhere, Wi-Fi speeds at 1 gig up, give or take 1 gig down.
Yeah, we're one step closer to Skynet.
Pretty much.
I mean, and everybody, I always say that shit to joke around, but this is just such a win for the consumer, because every other time that we hear about cable companies and internet companies, it's always negative. It's always they're throttling our speeds, or they're raising prices, or they're taking channels away from us. They're raising the prices. And here Google comes in and says, you know what? We're one of the biggest corporations in the world. So what we're going to do, we're going to hook you guys up. We're going to give you this amazing internet service for dirt fucking cheap,
And we're going to build.
And that's how they're going to do it, Yeah, you can even get it for free. I mean, how is that not a win? I want someone to hit me on Twitter and give me a legit reason why this is not a win when this rolls into your neck of the woods.
What I've read from people, being negative, saying, "Oh, this is not, the infrastructure is too difficult to build, this, that, and the third, it's this, that, and the third." I mean, that's what I've read. But even with this, like, there's a construction fee, but I believe Google waived it for pretty much for everybody.
Yep. Unless you get the 5 megabytes free, you don't have to pay the construction fee. And
the other thing that's included with this, I forgot. If people have read up on this, they have what they call fiber hoods. So they like, you gather a certain amount of people to want this service in your neighborhood. Once you get to a certain amount of people, Google comes out and builds the fiber networks. Now, once you're declared a fiber hood, Google for free will provide this fiber service to every library, rec center, and school where you live.
That's great for the inner cities and urban areas. Like for me, I think I mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast. I live in the downtown section of my city, and like I tell you all the time, is that there's lots of bars and stuff around, but my old high school is like 3 blocks away from where I live now. There's a library, churches, bars, theaters, there's so much in this area that they can, just my city is a small city. Think about like I keep saying, on a bigger scale in a city, there's multiple schools, there's multiple libraries, there's rec centers, there's boys and girls clubs and things like that. Like, this is such a good thing for adults and for the kids too, because there's some areas that don't have that kind of funding, and the kids aren't getting, what they need education-wise. And I'm pretty sure you can speak on that more than I can. Yeah,
and I mean, just going back a little bit, like I see Google doing this as a gesture in Kansas City, but they're offering it up as a gesture because when they go to other major cities, I'm assuming they're going to want local governments, instead of having, the neighborhood people pay the construction fee or the little building fee or whatever. They're gonna want local governments like, look, put up this other. We're gonna put up 50%. You put up 50%. And like you said, just imagine these urban neighborhoods where they may not be able to afford the greatest and latest books, but now Google comes, installs this 1 gig fiber internet in their system. You can go from giving the kids books to using tablets using tablets in your classrooms, using smart boards in your classroom. Smart boards are internet connected chalkboards technically a little bit, and you can introduce all this new technology which already exists in suburban schools. I've been to these suburban schools for trainings and things. Like, all this technology already exists. These kids are using, there's iPads in every classroom. The classrooms in the urban schools are just now starting to get laptops to a certain extent. So like I said, this is big all around, from education to getting anything done around the major city.
Yeah, this is even good from a government standpoint too. The police, the emergency services, they'll have better internet connections for everything. Everything is done via internet nowadays. Everything is done, via network. So, for an infrastructure standpoint, this is great for schools, like you said, and just like I was saying, the police, the fire service, things like that. Like, it will allow the community to operate a lot more efficiently, in my eyes. If this could pop off, and I'm totally agreeing with you that this is probably going to be the new future. This is going to be the thing where we have a community supported hub.
Yeah, and this is, what I love about this tool? It ruffles the feathers. It gets these other cable companies, Cablevision and Verizon, get off your asses, stop overcharging people, and push the technology further. This is also going to ruffle the phone services, because it's one thing, because VoIP calls or whatever, VoIP, voice over internet protocol, phone calls. If you don't have real good speeds, you get shitty qualities. Anybody with Skype and half decent, I have a pretty decent connection in my house. I have a real good wireless router, and my Skype calls are kind of whacked off sometimes. But with this type of speeds, you're gonna have crystal clear phone calls if you're using VoIP. And again, this is already included in your internet package, so you won't have to have a whole separate phone bill. And I know now most phone services are included with internet and stuff, but it's going to change the game as far as those things go.
Yeah, and from one thing crushing the buildings to another one just totally kicking the doors, the Galaxy S3 already sold 10 million handsets.
That's that, and it sold it. I remember the Galaxy S2 sold that in a crazy short amount of time, and this one did even quicker. It 5 months. In 5 months.
And the crazy thing is that two of my homeboys that I work with, they both got it. One was on Sprint, one's on AT&T. As Best Buy and all those, they were sold out on their pre-orders, and so they were basically on back order. And even still, it only took another 2 weeks for them to get a whole other shipment in. Samsung really picked up the ball from having a reputation of being slow to update their software, not having good hardware support, not doing a good job with their pre-orders and their release dates and things like that. And Samsung, one by one, is trumping every single one of their negative points that people brought up over the past, I would say, 3 to 4 years.
The Galaxy line is a huge line. Like I said, I remember the Galaxy X2 sold a big amount, and they knew the expectation for this was pretty big. And the other thing, honestly, I didn't think this was going to sell this much, because you had the 1X coming, you had the 1X, the 1 series phones coming out, you had the new Evo LTE coming out, and then you had this one. A lot of people were sleeping on this phone, but at the end of the day, this one has turned out to be probably the best phone. I was in the T-Mobile store yesterday, and it's a really good looking phone. So I'm looking at 10 million. I'm not surprised, because it has. That's why there's always comparison to when you compare the iPhone to any Android phone. It's usually to the Galaxy line, because it has a real strong following.
Right, and I think like you said, the separation of the Evo LTE and this device, it just flat out performs better. I mean, it does have 2 gigs of RAM that helps. But what I've seen, from a wireless industry standpoint, is Samsung's not cutting corners anymore on their high-end device. Now, they still do that cheap shit, but on their high-end devices, they usually pull out all the stops. Whereas HTC, a lot of times, and not to slander HTC because they typically do make great hardware, is that they do reuse a lot of the same things. And I think that the big thing that really fucked up what they wanted to do with the Evo LTE is that they didn't have a removable battery in it. And for some people, that's huge, myself included. I love having to be able to pull my battery. I don't care if people say, oh, well, you can hit power down or volume down and power and it'll reset the phone. I would rather be able to pull my battery if anything happens and reset my phone hard like that. I mean, it's still, they're both great devices.
I know. I heard that. I heard those the 2 major complaints about the Evo were the lack of removable battery and the lack of SD cards. So yes. For me personally, neither of those are an issue. But I mean, I've always loved the build quality of HTC phones. The Evo phones, really nice build quality. The Galaxy lines of phones, they've felt kind of flimsy and plasticky, but the specs and the way these fucking phones perform is pretty much crazy. Like I said, when my renewal time comes up now in a couple of months or whatever, 4 or 5 months, like I'm gonna take a hard look at either the S3 or there's been rumors of a 1X Plus, a 1.7 gig megahertz phone coming over to T-Mobile. But yeah, like I said, congratulations to Samsung, 10 million sold.
Yeah. If anybody from Samsung is listening, we plug you heavy over here, so hook us up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Dr. Dre, he's rolling in them W's, man. They just got that new deal. They got back the Beats by Dre share. They bought it back from HTC. This is a pretty big deal, I think.
Beats headphones, I mean, everybody knows they're probably the most popular line of premium end headphones. You see them everywhere. I was watching a movie on Netflix today. Name escapes me. But again, it was a low end movie. It wasn't nothing, no crazy movie. And there was some construction guys on a plane coming back from an island, whatever. And a couple of them had the Beats headphones on. I mean, they could have had any headphones, but they had Beats headphones on. The Beats are real popular. So yeah, with this deal, like I said, basically a year ago, HTC paid Beats, which is owned by Dre and Jimmy Iovine, paid them $300 million for a majority stake in the company. That's it. A year later, they basically sold back their shares of it for $150 million. So these guys made almost $500 million in a year, $450 million.
Yeah, like I said, man, that's a big W for those guys. I mean, Dr. Dre really has established himself as a brand now. You know, it all started off with the audio and laptops, and it just transcended into this line. You know, it's a whole line of headphones. They have everything. They have athletic headphones, earbuds, studio joints, casual use joints, everything, you know, someone would want to use. But since I'm talking about Dre and Iovine getting a big W, let's talk about how this fucked up HTC a little bit. HTC bought Beats to kind of implement it in their phone. They made one that was an official Beats phone, I think the HTC Resound.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously they pushed the 1X and things like that as having Beats Audio, but the Resound was like their flagship. Hey, this has Beats Audio. This is a Beats Audio phone. But I don't think that it took off like they thought it would. And like we were discussing a couple of weeks ago, that it's hard to take that market away from the iPod genre. Because, you know, the only time I listen to music on my phone is Pandora. I don't store music on my phone locally and play it off of there.
Pretty much. Me neither. I mean, I keep Google Music on there. And even at that time, I just use it to hook it up to my car's speaker system. And like, yeah, they were big. They were on, I mean, they have Beats on. Right now, I'm using a Beats laptop. They were on a bunch of phones. And honestly, I remember when I first heard about these Beats headphones and this, I thought it was a gimmick. But if you're anybody that's used any hardware with the Beats software on there, it does make a difference. And especially if you're using a pair of Beats headphones with it, even a bigger difference. And just having Beats on there, like again, last year alone, I'm reading here. Last year alone, they had 500 million in sale. 1/4 of the headphone market of the world headphone market was owned by these guys. So having that name attached to your product is a good look.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think, I guess I'll have to play devil's advocate here a little bit is the price point of these things. And everywhere you go on the internet, people are always going to be snobby about one thing or another. And, like, internet snobs, like, come in every variety. I think some of the worst are the audio heads. No disrespect to DJs and things like that. But I feel like everybody shits on the Beats by Dre headphones. I think if they were just normal headphones, they weren't endorsed by Dr. Dre or anything, they wouldn't, get the bad rep that they do besides being overpriced. I'm not cheap to a certain extent, but I'm going to be real, and $200 for some fucking headphones is a little ridiculous. They sound great, don't get me wrong, but you can get similar quality, while spending less.
For less, I mean, they were able, and if you're a person, up and coming web developer, hardware developer, Beats was basically able to cause that Apple mania. They built up this following with their product, and people are willing to go out and pay the $200. They're worth $200, but like you said, you can find similar quality headphones for less. I personally wouldn't pay $200 for a pair of headphones unless I was a DJ or somebody who's heavily in the music business. Then I would pay $200 probably for these headphones. But if I'm just regular Joe Blow, I really wouldn't. Because all you're paying for is the name.
Yeah, exactly. And Monster overprices everything anyway. They have HDMI cables for fucking $75, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's gold plated." I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here.
Is that the same people? Because I thought that I think, and I could be wrong. Somebody correct me on Twitter or on the Kali. I think Beats, like Dre and Jimmy Iovine, bought out their end from Monster. They're like they're no longer affiliated. I remember reading that a couple of months ago, how they're no longer affiliated. Like Monster went on to do their own thing, and Beats stayed separate.
Yeah, I got you. I had to do a quick Google search there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I mean, that's shit. Even better for them, because that's less hands in their pocket then.
Yes.
That's less hands in their pocket. So, moving along to our other, we pop a lot of gadgetry off on here, and I know you're a little bit more up on this than I am, so I'll let you talk about this, the Vizio CO-Star.
Yeah, the Vizio, for those that don't know, is basically the new streaming player from Vizio. It's like the Roku player, like the Apple TV. The big news about this was that it's going to be running a kind of new version of Google TV, and it's also going to be running the OnLive video game streaming service. And again, the price point. Price point is important with everything. This thing was going to be sold. It's going to be sold. Or is being sold for $99, $100. It's a really I like it. I think it's a really good looking piece of hardware. It comes with a really sleek remote control / keyboard, and yeah, it sold out in under 12 hours. All the pre-orders were sold out in under 12 hours.
Yeah, if I had an award for the, maybe we can have this as a segment at the end of the year for these tech companies and manufacturers and things like that. Who does the illest shit for the best price? I think Vizio will probably be number one or number two at the very least. If you look at their TVs, they make dope-ass TVs for really, really, really good price, and they're really good quality.
Go ahead. And I was going to say, people are sleeping on them big time. They also just came out with a new line of, I don't know if you read this, with a new line of desktops.
Yes,
of high-end desktops and high-end laptops. And they're, again, whoever's in charge of their designing over there, I hope, I would fucking buy a Vizio phone. A Vizio Android phone. I love whoever's in charge of their design up there is doing a kick-ass job. They have really good hardware. design. Again, we don't know if it translated into the software, but yeah, you're totally right. Their smart TVs are a couple of $100 cheaper than their Sony and Samsung
Yep.
counterparts. That's like this streaming player. I'm gonna give it a couple of months. I've been meaning to pick up a streaming player, and my Xbox has been overheating like a '59 Mustang lately. So I might pick this one up because I didn't have that good of an experience with my first Google TV from that company that shall remain unnamed. But this one, let's see what happens with this one. But it started out real good, sold out in under 12 hours. So yeah, people, look up. Don't sleep on Vizio. Do not sleep on them.
Yeah, I enjoy Vizio. I actually was gonna buy a Vizio TV when I got a new TV, but I ended up catching a better deal. But like you were talking about the Vizio desktops, if I just make another cool little point about it, did you see the towers? Like the actual CPU of the thing, it looks like a little box.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That shit is fly as fuck.
It is. It is. The whole line. And you saw their. I think they came out with the note. I don't know if they call them ultra books. If they did call them.
I think they did.
I think they did.
Everybody's been riding that wave.
But you know what's the difference with these people? These ultra books were actually in a semi-affordable price. Like these things packed style and actual software in a they weren't charging like $1,500 or nothing for some bullshit.
Yeah, I think, and like you and I always talk about, and we talked about it last week, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, is Google's really getting in, and obviously this is through Google that this is possible. Is that Google's really trying to be an entertainment system now, an entertainment brand. Now you got phones, tablets now that are under the Nexus brand, which is direct from Google. And now we're going to start getting Nexus branded media players and things like that, and streaming systems. And streaming systems are the way of the future. And we're going to really get on that next week. It's actually probably going to take up a good portion of our show. But streaming is definitely the way of the future here, and this is a great way. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's cheap. Like we always say, you don't always have to spend money to get something good. I really wish people would get over that, and especially from a technology standpoint. People like, well, I paid $800 for this. I'm like, okay, I paid $3, and it does the same thing.
Like, what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean that's necessarily better. But yeah, with your point with Google, I would have loved, if people know the backstory behind the Nexus tablet, this was actually just an Asus tablet. Google saw it, hit up Asus, and was like, let's put it on hold. They did some work with it. I would have really liked to see Google have done the same thing with this streaming player. Like this, because again, if you people just Google the Vizio CO-Star, it's a really nice looking streaming player. This would have been dropping this along the same time they were dropping the Google Fiber. Would have been beautiful, but I suspect they didn't do it because Google TV itself is still kind of shitty.
Yeah,
it's like I said. If you watch the of course when they put the videos up for these new machines, it looks all good, and yeah, it like Google TV does look good, and they might be running a newer version of it here, but from the looks of it, I had Google TV through my other streaming player for a bit, but this didn't through the review. And this did not look that different. Again, I'm judging a book just by its cover right now, and I know it's dangerous. But I'll probably pick one of these up in a couple of months just to see what it's about.
Absolutely. And we can actually, once we find out about it, we're going to let y'all know about it. Me and Danny always stay up on a lot of this stuff. So, like Danny said, don't sleep on Vizio. Vizio's doing a lot of big things.
Yeah, and like Jay said, like you have to start supporting these. I don't want to call them a small company, but you have to start supporting. Yeah, you have to start supporting these companies that are putting out high quality products, good looking products for a cheap price. A lot of people. We have about 4 TVs here in my house. There's one literally in every room. 2 of the smaller ones are Insignia brand TVs.
I have a 50-inch Insignia. It's fucking beautiful.
We have 2 of those TVs here, and them things have never failed us. They were Insignia, and they were a couple of $100 cheaper than what a Samsung TV would have been for the most part. but it's never failed me. And for me personally, that came when years ago when the iPod first dropped. I copped a Insignia MP3 player, and literally, I just put that thing down a couple of months ago when I bought
Yeah.
a Zoom player. And that thing, when it dropped, it already had video playing capabilities before the first iPod video came out. So like you gotta keep a lookout for these other companies. Gotta support these smaller companies.
Yeah, one last thing, before we hop up off this, is that I'm gonna let y'all in on something. I know some of y'all are hip to this shit. I know a lot of y'all aren't hip to this. Danny, I know I've told you a million times, is that when you walk into Best Buy or you walk into wherever that, you walk into HH Gregg or whatever, these smaller name TVs like Insignia, I'll use Insignia as a perfect example because I have one. I bought a 50-inch Insignia for $500 from Best Buy. Brand new, nothing wrong with it, straight out the box. Now, Insignia, a lot of these TV companies are made by the bigger names like LG, Samsung, Sony, the heavy hitters. Insignia is just an LG TV with a little bit less fancy menus. The board is a little bit different. The screen is the same. The screen is the exact same. If I went and opened up my TV, I bet you I would find some kind of LG branding on my LCD. It's the same thing. So do your homework, guys. When you go to buy TVs, when you go to buy these things, do your homework because a lot of this shit is the same, and these companies are trying to get over on you. And you think just because you never heard of this TV brand that it's nothing, it's gonna be some shit. But save yourself a couple $100, do a little bit of research, and you won't be disappointed if you do your own research.
Yep.
So that's my little mini rant. So me and you both are on our next subject pretty heavy. We were talking about this a few minutes ago. Dead Trigger is got the internet going nuts right now, and it's free. That's the best part. I always love free. I love free shit. I know you love free shit. Everybody loves free shit.
For sure.
For those of you who aren't up on this, shame on you. But it is basically your typical zombie apocalypse game, first-person shooter type. But it's actually pretty fucking dope.
It's a really, like I said, I when I got my Nexus 7, I was looking up, what games or what apps to download or whatever. And this game kept coming up, but I'm really not a first. Like I play Call of Duty. I haven't been playing a lot lately, but I've put in more hours of my life into that game than I care to share. But I'm really a military shooter, not a zombie shooter. But I heard how good this game was, how good it was, and I held off till one day I turned on my Nexus 7. I went to the App Store and I see it was for free. It's usually only costs $1 anyways, but I saw it was for free, and I was like, you know what, free, fuck it. Downloaded it, and it's a really good looking game. Now, the reason we're bringing them up is because the reasoning behind why the game went from $1 to free. I believe it was CEO went on either Facebook or Twitter. He went on a little mini rant, and he said that the reason the game was put out for free was because of massive amount of piracy on Android. Basically, people were getting the game for free anyways, so they were like, let's just make it free for everybody.
Which, and hey, shit happens, especially in Android. It is kind of easy to sideload apps and things like that. But I think a lot of people said they were pissed off when they got it. It was like the pay for play type shit, where you do like 3 levels, and then it's like, oh hey, to continue on, please give $3 or $5 or $2 or whatever. But this version that they released out is for free is, completely all levels are there.
The thing with them was the controversy before that was, it was to upgrade. I'm not sure because by the time I got it, I haven't had an issue. I had to pay for anything, even though I've gone ahead and bought stuff with real money. Yes, I'm corny, but the issue I was reading about this was that you had to wait. You only started off with a revolver, and people were complaining about the game being too hard and blah blah blah. That was the in-game issue. I don't think you necessarily needed money to buy new levels, but the problem was if you didn't have higher guns, it was difficult to pass certain levels and you couldn't get on to next levels. But you know what? Actually,
I'm not gonna front. I've been playing it. Like we were talking about it earlier. I was playing it earlier, and I got that bullshit little scorpion.
Yeah.
And those fucking zombies can take bullets like Al Pacino at the end of Scarface. Like, they're not going down, man.
So you gotta get them with headshots. Again, I really don't. I think, and I read this too. I think that puts more life into the game, though. Like, what if they
Yeah,
had
you're
just
right.
started
You're right.
everybody off with automatic shotguns and AA-12s from Call of Duty guns, basically, and you zip through the game? Then you're complaining about it. This puts more hours. Personally, for me, it puts more hours of play into the game.
Yeah, and it's a really well-made game. It's really polished. The engine is really nice. The movement is good. Actually, I was telling you that you posted on the Kali, and I said I'm about to put it on my tablet and fire up my PS3 controller so I can play it using that, and that's really gonna enhance the level of gameplay there too, because I have big hands playing on my 3D. Sometimes I get my fucking hands in the way and shit, and I have to kind of backtrack and bust at the zombies while they're running at me. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It gets a little frustrating, but like you said, man, who wants a game that you can completely walk through?
Yeah, and the issue, and I guess the bigger issue with this, which we're kind of going to touch on for a minute or two, is the level of piracy in games. And the reason why this game was being pirated so much, I suspect, one, it already had a buying price, which, yeah, it was only $1, but then you had the in-game thing where you had to buy more things. So that's why people were nuts on it. Like, if you're going to put out these and it's a high-quality game, people. It is a high-quality game. Developers, keep putting out these high-quality games, but find a different way. Either go ahead and charge $3 or $4 at the beginning of the game and just make the rest of the game free, but don't charge every little step of the way. Which again, Dead Trigger doesn't do this, but other games do this. Dead Trigger only charges for upgrades that you don't necessarily need to pass, but it'll make it more fun for you. But again, if you're gonna charge in games, I would prefer with a game like Dead Trigger, I would have paid $3 or $4 for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would have paid $3 or $4 for it. That's what I think these developers need to start doing, or start putting out your games for free.
Yeah, I mean, you can always make money off of ads. I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. But definitely, if you overprice your games, nobody's gonna buy them. You're not gonna make any money anyway.
And if you make a good game, if you make a good popular game, what's gonna happen is they're gonna find a way to get it for free.
A game that's well made. If it's a bullshit little game that you want me to pay an extra $3 for because it doesn't have ads, then I'm not gonna bother. Or if it's I play half of the game and then I gotta pay more, like you said, to move on. I'm probably not gonna bother because I'm like, fuck it, I already paid half of the game.
Exactly.
But Dead Trigger is definitely a big time game. If you haven't checked it out, I really, 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 really suggest it. Both of us do. I give it my cosign. It's really fun. It's addictive, and it's got like this grimy feel to it. I kind of dig that.
It does. And I said the graphics are amazing. To me, that's pretty much the best Android game out right now. Amazing graphics, fun. I mean, the storyline is kind of whack, kind of lax. I mean, you're gonna skip through it. You just want to shoot shit. Basically, you're just gonna want to shoot shit. But it could do with a better storyline. But the graphics more than make up for it.
Absolutely. So this is another thing that it's one of those I feel like what they call it, a urban legend.
Yeah.
The deep web, and now we got some numbers popping up and saying maybe that it's government founded or government funded.
I just want to say on behalf of GeekSet, first of all, we respect all hackers and your movements, and we love you, and we love you guys. Keep doing your thing. But yeah, for those who know, and again, I kind of knew what Tor was. It was like a browser add. It's a Firefox plugin which keeps you anonymous. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys just the exact thing.
Go ahead and drop that on me, I don't really,
Tor is two things. It's first it's a software program, and again, it's a software program that you can run on your computer, and it helps keep you safe on the net. It protects you basically by bouncing your communication around a network of relay run by volunteers around the world, and it prevents people from tracking your physical location and tracking what websites you have visited. It can basically be thought of as a proxy. Now, the reason that Tor is so big is because I think it's pretty much the best of its class. And I don't think we're gonna get too deep into that deep web stuff. But if you've never heard of the deep web, just Google the deep web, and you'll find tons of information on it. Now, where the interesting thing comes in with Tor is that from the sounds of it, Tor sounds like it's very counterculture, like it's doing the cool thing basically. It's protecting you from Big Brother. But guess who's on Big Brother's payroll? Let me just read off the exact stat. Last year alone, and this was, I believe it was the guys from Anon.
Yes.
And I think it's the same anonymous, if I'm not wrong. Same anonymous that was kicking ass last year, hacking everything. But in 2008, 86% of Tor's operating cost was covered by the State Department, the same State Department that would investigate your ass. And in 2010, they got, the revenue was what? They made like almost $1.5 million. Basically, in hood terms, Tor is working for the feds, from what it looks like. Tor is working for the feds, and it's the perfect cover because, like I said, if you're somebody trying to do some grimy shit, which I will just again keep it unnamed, if you're trying to do some grimy shit online, one way or another, you're using Tor to cover your ass. And this article, we're probably going to find a way, or I will, because this is one of the more interesting topics we spoke about, and it's like, it'll be a hard to find link. I'm going to put the link in the video description. And it sums it up better. The last line in the article is the U.S. government unwittingly funding child pornography networks?
Makes you think.
And if you people want to think a little bit more, go on YouTube and Google U.S. Congressman child porn, and you will come up with some interesting fucking videos. And yes, if you haven't figured out by now, one of the things Tor is used is to basically distribute child pornography. So this is a big deal that 86%, almost 90% of their operating costs is covered by the State Department.
Yeah, and the thing is that you would think, like, okay, maybe, like, from a positive standpoint, you would say, hey, maybe the government's in on this to catch some of this bullshit, maybe to track down. But the internet is supposed to be open to a certain extent as long as you're not breaking any laws. So almost like you said, it seems like it's the perfect cover to catch somebody slipping. But at the same time, they're funneling our money into it. This is money that comes out of our paychecks, that goes to the government so they can spend money on this bullshit. That's the problem that I have with this. Especially for people who are doing shit they're not supposed to be doing anyway. Looking at kiddie porn, buying weapons and trying to buy pills from Canada, on a smaller scale. It's not as big as the first two things that I mentioned, but from a bleeding heart, perspective, this is bullshit because we're paying this money for someone to cover the ass of someone who's covering their ass. Don't even ask me how, but I mean, it's bad enough, and we could talk about this all day. We don't condone putting on our tinfoil hats. We're not those type of dudes. We deal in facts. The numbers are right in front of us. It's really interesting. You got to make of it what you can. And I know I definitely will probably read a little bit more. Maybe we can do a follow-up when Danny and I maybe kind of come to a kind of a topic of discussion, or we're going to save this for one of our other segments that we're planning in the future that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, and definitely there is no tinfoil hats here. Like, this is like tax return and financial statements that have been exposed. So this isn't somebody coming up with some conspiracy, but this is something major which really hasn't been talked about. And I forgot how I came across this story. It was in a deep web thread over
I was going to ask you how the hell you found this shit.
It was over in the deep web thread in the Kali.com in the JBO section, which you have to have a certain number of posts anyway to find that there. But yeah, somebody posted that. I said, this is real interesting because you figure you would hear about this in mainstream news. Well, not that you figure. You would hope that you do, but you didn't.
Well, yeah, because they report everything that the government's doing when they want to.
Exactly. Like I said, people, like, this is financial statements and tax returns. This isn't no tinfoil hat stuff here.
So we're gonna wrap up our tech segment with on a brighter note with our gadget of the week.
I want this motherfucker, man.
Yo, man, we gotta figure out how the hell we're gonna get this shit. There ain't no way in hell. Basically, Danny, you want to go ahead and talk about it since you hit me up with the link? I'll let you go ahead and run that.
This thing is called a Prutus. I hope I'm saying it wrong. Right, probably ain't. It's a 13-foot mech robot. Real life 13-foot mech robot. Costs $1.35 million. Look it up. Prutas. Prutus.
Yeah, we'll put the link. Like we started doing the gadget of the week. We'll start putting the link to this stuff on the show description. That way you guys can check it out, comment on it, give us some feedback about what you like. But this shit is fucking cool, man. This shit's
it's a fucking 13-foot real life robot. Touchscreen UI. The shit has 2 Gatling guns. Gatling guns.
Not to cut you off, what's that fucking video game that used to be on PS2 back in the day where you got in that Mecha War or something like that?
Yep, and oh man, I know which one you're talking about. And it was there was one on the PS3. It was a similar one. There was a snow game, and the name fucking escapes me right now. But it's a giant mech robot, real life mech robot. Google it again. Not even Google it. You'll see the link. You'll see the YouTube video with somebody walking around the city with it. It's like a real life Transformers. It is a real life Transformers robot.
The game's called Armored Core.
Armored Core, yes. I'm surprised the U.S. government or the Chinese government. Hang on, let me see. Where is this from? Was this Chinese? Is this Chinese or Japanese or something? Like, I'm surprised they haven't deployed these in the field. It's kind of slow, but you show up on the field with 100 worth of these things.
With that shit, man.
This thing is ill. Like I said, it's for sale to the public. It is for sale. Well, hang on. Yeah, I think it's for sale to the public. So, if you got 1.3 sitting around,
yeah.
Oh, and if you want, it comes with leather interior, cup holder, and a phone cubby, and some extra accessories.
Yo, can you imagine rolling up into the club with that shit?
Right in front of that. Nah, fuck. Yo, just not rolling up into the club. Imagine somebody starting some beef with you in the club, and you're like, word, son, I'll be right back. Wait for me outside. Wait for me outside.
That gives a whole new meaning to popping the trunk.
For real, popping the mech robot.
Like, that'd be like on fucking Don't Be a Menace where Marlon opens up that the mail truck and he got that fucking missile.
He got the nuclear missile in the back of the mail truck.
That's that type shit. Like, you don't want none of this, bro.
That is exactly. But yeah, I had another gadget, which I'm going to save for next week to be our gadget of the week. But once I found this one overtook that.
Yeah, usually we'll put up some stuff that can be easily attained. But this shit was just way too cool for us to leave out. I'm like, this shit's starting to make me feel old because this is stuff that we see like in the Jetsons and like cartoons and shit when we were kids coming up. Now they're starting to make this shit.
Hell yeah. Can't wait for an Android version of this shit or something. The Nexus mech.
The Nexus mech. That shit will be in all Google colors. Green, yellow, orange.
Running Android 13 hot chocolate.
That shit'll be running fucking Android zebra cake.
For real. Crazy.
So that does it for our tech segment, guys. So we're gonna move along into our pop culture. Breaking Bad, man. This shit is getting deep, bro.
It definitely is. I'm not even gonna front. Like, you're gonna have to start off the recap on this because I know I definitely saw the second episode. My mind, like I said, I had an operation recently too. If people don't know, on my hand, I'm all good though. But I don't remember if I saw or didn't see this thing. I've been on so many damn oxys.
Well, basically, those of you guys haven't been following, too bad. I'm gonna spoil it for you anyway. But Walt, Jesse, and Mike basically come to an agreement that they're gonna start cooking again. And the way that this is gonna deal out is that Mike's gonna handle all the business, all the logistics. Walt's gonna cook, but Walt's still quote unquote the boss.
Okay, was this the same episode where Mike went to visit that lady in the apartment building? Yep. Okay, yeah, so yep. Okay, yeah, I'm good now.
Mike there's a list
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and basically what happened is Los Pollos Hermanos, the parent company, is a German parent company that has a whole bunch of conglomerate, basically. And the episode starts off with this dude fucking taste testing sauces. And that shit made me laugh. That shit was just so funny to me. But anyway, the German feds come looking for him, and dude kills himself with a defibrillator.
That was crazy. You know what? I thought he was gonna do some MacGyver shit and take out a couple of feds.
Yeah.
But when he offed himself, I was like, man, that's some old Japanese honor type of deal.
Going out on your sword type
Yeah,
shit.
but definitely this took the whole thing. This takes it to a whole new level because I mean, now Walt's brother-in-law he's FBI, right? He's he's local DEA. Now, since this is a German, like, this whole German thing might take this on some old international Interpol,
Right.
FBI type level, which we probably don't even know about. But yeah, that the German angle is introduced, and also this new lady who I'm still trying to figure out. Was she like the chemical connect or something? I couldn't figure out who she was. Was she a mistress?
They never see the thing about this show is like they never fully explain what everybody does at first. But basically, did you see where she met with fucking Mike in that diner?
And she was being all extra paranoid.
Squirrel, and he's just like, "Why don't you just come over here?"
Exactly.
But she's trying to get. I guess these are Mike's dudes. These are all muscle, and the people that knew that worked under Gus as well. That all did different things. But she had a list and was trying to take everybody out because she was scared that somebody was going to snitch and she doesn't want to go to jail. So Mike, I really like Mike's character. I think a lot of people don't give him a lot of credit for the shit that he does, and I'll kind of come that full circle in a minute. But he's like, Mike's like super loyal to his guys, and he's like, look, nobody's going to snitch. But they're worried that the money that Gus had for them is going to dry up because the Fed seized the money.
Yep.
So Mike goes in and talks to the dude that actually managed the laundromat that Walt and Jesse cooked in previously, that Gus had that mega lab built. And he basically said, don't worry about it, we're not going to say shit. But the chick, I think her name is Lydia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was something like that.
She puts out the hit anyway, and a couple of dudes that already got pressed up by the DEA had already gotten them taken out, and what's his name? What's Walt's brother-in-law name?
Hank. Mm-hmm. Hank.
They actually called Mike in to interview him, and they kind of pressed him up a little bit, calling him out on his connects. Like, look, we know about your granddaughter, and they found his bank accounts in his granddaughter's name with, shitload of money in it. But so, that kind of pushes us into the latest episode where fucking Saul, is coming up through all these ideas where Walt and Jesse can start cooking out their new product. And, what was it, a box factory was the first one, right?
They were trying to they wanted to go back. I mean, it was briefly said about the RV. They mentioned the RV for a second. But, Walt shut that down quickly. That at the level they wanted to do, that didn't make any sense. They weren't going to take a couple of steps back. But the way they pressed Mike, the way Hank pressed Mike, and I hate Hank's character for the most part. He's a gump to me, but yeah, he is. The dude's a total gump to me. Him and his wife. His wife can get the business with her klepto ass. But the way they pressed Mike, for a second there, Mike doesn't flinch. For people that seen the show, when they brought up his granddaughter there, like Mike kind of flinched, and that was pretty ill to see him out of character for his character, and then also to see a semi-compassionate side of him when he was about, not even compassionate, I guess it was more of a businessman side of him when he was about to take out that lady in her condo with her kid, not in the same room, but in the condo. But then he thought about it, smartly. He's like, what, my granddaughter's fund is gone. Let's get this money.
Yeah, and Mike is smart, man. I swear, people don't realize how smart this dude is because if you think about it, say he off that chick in her house, they still needed that chemical.
Yep.
They would have been shit out of luck if, I think too many people get caught up in the killing people and putting people down and shit. You got to think of it as a business at first, and I keep saying that, and I'll say it when we bring up the next, hot topic of the show is what kind of the boiling point of it is that, it is compassionate of him to not kill her. But I think he really, had it not come down to that chemical, I think he would have killed that bitch right then and there.
Pretty much, he was ready.
Because she did the exact opposite of what he told her not to do.
And not only that, she had the hitman trying off him.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Like she
on top of that.
She had the hitman trying and off him, which is he told her, like, just calm down, it's gonna be good. But I would have really liked to see who this lady is.
Yeah.
Like, because when I first saw her, I thought she was maybe one of Gus's mistresses or something. But it turns out she's a whole nother person. And let's see what type of connections or who she has a connection to.
I think that she might be like his maybe not just Gus, but maybe on the same, like from a corporate level, higher up, working for the parent company. Maybe she's their logistics person.
Probably.
Maybe she handles the ins and outs, the shipping and all that, the actual orders. But Mike probably had to hit her with the old Omar Little. If you take shots at the king, you better not miss.
Exactly. Mike definitely showed why he's the king of that.
Yeah. You can't play no stupid tricks and try and take out Mike. He's too smart for that shit. So you brought up the important link that I missed with the chemical. So she's like, yeah, we can get the chemical. So Mike made a business. He made a half measure, like they always say. They have full measure and they have the half measure in the show. And he took the half measure, which was smart in my eyes. I'm looking at this business-wise. All I see at the end of this, I care about certain characters, so to speak. But if I put myself in them shoes, the only thing I care about is money.
Exactly.
So them getting the chemical, they can't make meth without the chemical. It's not like you can just hit up Amazon and I can't think of the name of the chemical. I don't want to tank it and I don't want to mispronounce it.
Yep.
So I'm just going to refer to it as that meth chemical. So, but, you can't go on Amazon and be like, yeah, let me get fucking 50 gallons of it.
And then not even 50 gallons. The thing was that the amount of chemical that they needed. Right, yeah, exactly. You can't, and then, I told somebody in the Breaking Bad there on the Kali, I said, well, why do you think that he didn't kill her in the first place? I was like, it's not like he can just go on Amazon. Like I just said to y'all, it's not like you can go on Amazon and order that much of that chemical and not be suspicious. The feds are already, I'm not going to say on their ass, but Hank's not stupid. He knows something is going on. He just can't put A to B in. Yeah, Hank, the guy, he's like, I don't know, this gump motherfucker, he just catches lucky breaks. Yo, he's a beast cop though, man. You can't front. The dude's been lucky so far, and he should have been dead about 4 times. Man, before. The Twitch should have fucking finished his ass. He should have been dead about 4 times before, but I can see why they keep him. I mean, that's like that whole thing, that Walt's been able to go this long without basically any suspicion with his brother-in-law being a Fed is amazing and adds to the allure of the show. Yeah, so with their lawyer extraordinaire, Saul Goodman, they Saul always looks out for Hank and Jesse. I gotta give him that, even though he's a little bit of a scumbag. He started taking them to different factories and places that they could conceal an operation. And the first was a box factory. And Walt's all like nostalgic, like, oh, I used to work one of these when I was in high school or whatever. And what was their problem? They said there was too much moisture. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I think maybe I got up for a couple of minutes because I don't remember seeing that part. Yeah, it was the first place that they took him to. Mm-hmm. And I think they steamed the boxes to seal them or some shit like that. I don't quite remember. Maybe somebody could correct me. But anyway, Walt turned it down. So Saul's like, all right, we'll go to another spot. And the other one, this shit made me laugh, is in the tortilla factory.
And he's like, lots of different chemicals come in, blah, 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 blah. And Walt, being smart, Walt's a fucking genius. I'll never take that away from him. He's like, anything that's food related is going to be subject to random FDA inspection.
Exactly.
So obviously you can't be pushing no meth in there when the feds can come down any minute.
And now that was too close of a connection to the whole burger place, chicken place, anyways.
Yeah, that too. And then also, what would Jesse say? We can't have the tortillas taste like cat piss. And then, of course, when he walked off, did you see him grab the fucking tortilla off the line?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they had the tortillas coming down the little belt, and everybody walked off, and Jesse came back and ripped one up off the shit and started eating it.
It's funny shit.
So Saul takes them, based like a little montage of them going to different places, and he tries to roll past. I think that it was the old laser tag place that they had.
I remember that. That's the one part I remember, the laser tag place.
And they were like, no. So, last ditch effort, they go to a pesticide place, and Saul's like, look, I know you're probably gonna say no. I have to check into some other places. And as soon as they pulled up and they walk in, you can see Walt had that light bulb and those fucking gears turning.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew exactly what he was going to do. So what they said was, it's perfect. There's chemicals, for them to fumigate the houses. So they put the tent on the house, nobody comes in. So they're going to cook inside the house. And again, Jesse is really asserting himself with the magnet idea from the first episode. And then with this one, they were like, well, how can we cook with these chemicals, chemicals to kill all these fucking bugs? And he's like, he flashed back to that little battlefield hospital in Mexico with the little plastic lining.
Yep.
And boom, that's what they decided to use. So Jesse really came through. I think a lot of people hate on Jesse, man. I don't understand it.
I like his character. I think the thing is that people are kind of trying to figure, when is this kid gonna grow some balls? Like, he's been around Walt, and he's still half an idiot sometimes. He's been around Mike and Gus, and he's still half a punk sometimes. So but again, that's just his character. And again, to me, he's the second best character on there. He's right behind Walt.
100%.
Right behind Walt.
Because I think, I guess people want Jesse to be, busting his guns all the time or being that guy, but he's just a kid that's always in a fucked up ass situation. I don't know, maybe it's the writing that made me feel bad for this dude, because his parents don't give a fuck about him. The only person that gave it was his aunt that left in the house, right?
Yep.
Yeah. She passed away. His parents don't give a fuck about him. One of his homeboys died. His girlfriend died. So dude was a monumental fuck up. But if it wasn't for him, he almost is the yin to Walt's gang, if you really think about it. Because Walt done did a full heel turn.
Yeah, Walt's gone. I spoke about that last week. Walt's made the biggest change I've ever seen a character do, the most development I've ever seen a character. Having said, Jesse's character hasn't really evolved that much, but since Walt's character has evolved at such a high level, it almost doesn't matter. And I really don't want to see Jesse with, I don't know, with braids or some shit and a fucking Tech 9 in both back pockets.
Right.
And shit. His character works just fine.
Yeah, he seems like he's starting to, I think all of his experiences with Walt and having to kill Gale and then being with Mike, being Mike's right-hand man, running tasks and stuff like that, I think that really gave him that, well-roundedness of being everybody all at once. I think Jesse could legit be a boss. I think that he has a little bit too much compassion. I think he's a little soft-hearted, but not in a bad way. You know what I mean? I think he genuinely cares. He genuinely cares about Walt. I think he sees Walt as the dad that he never really, had.
Jesse's a kid that's caught up in something that he wasn't ready for, but he's this whole thing has spiraled around him. He was just trying to make his little bit of money, selling a little bit of meth here and there. He never thought he was going to be, taking out kingpins and stuff like that. So.
Right. Yeah, and I guess, like you were saying about Walt, and it's the point that I've said on the Collie, and, I want to say it now, and I don't think I've told you, but I know you're going to agree with me that Walt lives in his own world. him. He's in his own world, and he feels like he dictates everything to everyone else, even though they're not in his own world. Like the conversation that he had with Jesse about telling his girl about what he does.
Yeah.
And then telling his sister-in-law that was such a fucking hoe move. What he did when he just put all the blame on Skylar about having an affair with Ted.
Yeah, I mean, like,
the victim.
And he does that perfect. Like
Right.
from last season, and I'm not gonna spoil it for the people, but you remember the incident with the little kid at the end of last season. Like again, that just showed how Walt's world is what is important, and everybody else is just collateral.
Exactly, and he's pulling strings on some puppet master shit.
He is, and that's a dangerous game to play. But we gotta see these other episodes. We'll see how that game develops.
And the last thing that I want to bring up, how did you feel about the money? That was the big boiling point, the big focus point of this week's show was the money division.
Refresh my memory, please.
When they counted up all the money after they did the cook, and they had it all, Mike had a big ass stack of money on the table, and he starts divvying out the money. He goes, "Walt, this is your cut. Jesse, this is your cut. This is my cut." And he starts pulling out money this is from the mules, this is from distribution, this is from this is from that. And he put out X amount of money for legacy fees, basically to pay all his guys so that they don't snitch. And you can start to see the power struggle between he and Walt, because Walt didn't agree that they should have to pay to keep their names, because Walt feels like the people that are locked up and that the feds are looking at don't know who Walt and Jesse are.
You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna have to go and rewatch that episode because I don't know if I just how the fuck I totally missed that. But I mean, I could see that.
The culminating point.
You have to, like, knowing Walt's character, knowing Mike's character, and how Mike basically doesn't like anybody. He really doesn't like Walt. You know that headbutting is gonna happen. It's gonna happen, whether it be over money, over somebody getting killed or not, or over the way the meth is distributed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are putting too much stock into the money. Like, oh, he should never took that much money from those guys, for this and that and the third. That should come out of his cut. But they're not looking at the big picture. That's an operation. Without Mike, they can't push as much meth as they did, as they do. He still has all those connects, all that distribution, all the transport. He's got that on smash.
And he has the respect.
Yeah, because how were they had dealers on the street doing hand-to-hands before they got him with Gus. You can't move weight like that.
Not the amount they're trying to move. They're in the big leagues now.
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, it's definitely going to be interesting how that plays out. Oh, also, Skylar spazzed out on her sister.
Did she? I'm missing that. I'm missing all these fucking parts.
So funny. They were in their office in the the car wash, and you know how what's her name, Marie?
Yeah.
You know how she's always fucking asking too many goddamn questions and shit? Well, she started asking Skylar like a whole bunch of shit. You can see like Skylar's like breaking down because she's all like on some depressed type shit because Ted Bennigy is like Larry Holmes status right now.
That dude is vegetable status, man.
Yeah, he's fucking, yeah, exactly. But she's all depressed and shit, and like she started smoking, and I guess she pulled out a cigarette in front of her sister, and her sister started bitching, and she's just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, like 8 times in a row. And I was laughing so hard, because I was like, yes, hit that bitch, because I can't stand that bitch.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this episode. And
yeah,
I've missed a couple of things. I want to see that money distribution thing. That sounds gangster.
Yeah, you gotta, like, with this, is I realized, like, I was, after reading the thread, like, on the collie, there's a lot of shit that goes on that you see that you don't see. You know what I mean? Like, stuff in the background that you gotta pay attention to because it comes back up later. So
it's one of those shows that makes you think.
I always watch it like real intently. I don't even look at my phone while watching Breaking Bad. But yeah, that was this week's Breaking Bad recap. We ran a little long on that, but if y'all missed it, there you go.
It's Breaking Bad though. Breaking Bad. That shit's reaching Soprano status.
Man, that shit is better than The Sopranos.
Shit's reaching
This is the
Soprano
best TV
status.
show ever. In my opinion. So, moving off of that, some other funny shit is Drizzy got his shit thrown in the bushes, man.
And not by no weak people neither.
They pressed up on him.
Not by no weak
Basically,
people.
for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Drake's been in some legal shit. Jay Prince has been suing him for royalties that he hasn't been paid, for money that he hasn't been paid. And then Drake came out and said that he's never received any royalties from his album sold, from his Young Money contract. He's never gotten any royalties. So they said that his contract was void. Supposedly he was supposed to be paid money off of his albums, whereas he had a deal that was supposed to be paying him, that was supposed to give him 4 hours. I think it was like an album's worth.
5 albums. It was 5 albums. It was 5 albums. The deal was, people don't know, it's with Jay Prince Jr. Jay Prince, just Google up Jay Prince and you guys see he's a real gangster heavy dude in the music industry down in Texas. So the way the story goes, and again, you can believe it or not, Jay Prince Jr. was, again, Jay Prince Jr., Jay Prince's son obviously, was the one that introduced Drake to Lil Wayne. He was supposed to receive basically a finder's fee, which was, I believe it was 1/4 or 1/6 of Drake's royalties. Now, where the issue comes in is that through court documents or whatever, which you can find them online and we'll link them up, Drake hasn't received any royalties from his album. So, if he's not getting paid, that means there's no way of Jay Prince getting paid. And for people that don't know, Jay Prince and his sons, they don't, like these guys don't play. Not to say that Drake's life is in danger, this, that, or the third, but these are serious guys, and it could either be business or it could be some hood shit.
Yeah, they got no problem with gooning it up. That's some old school Texas type shit right there.
Nothing, like I said, the funny, not even funny, it's the whole throw it in the bushes thing. And Drake is by not even close to being broke, but this whole royalties issues and making payments to producers has been an issue in the past with Birdman and Cash Money. There was the song "A Milli." The producer's name escapes me, but if you guys remember the song "A Milli" from Lil Wayne, that was one of his main singles for maybe the Carter 3, I believe, or probably the Carter 4. But that was a huge single, and the producer for that song never got paid his royalties. And I think to this day, he's never been paid. The issues with Juvenile and BG when they left, again, was they weren't seeing the money they were supposed to be seeing.
Fresh too.
Manny Fresh, these guys weren't seeing the money. There's been over half a dozen people that haven't been getting the money they're owed by Birdman and not by Birdman directly, but by Cash Money Records. And now it's a high profile because Drake is a huge artist. So it's gonna be interesting to see what turn this takes with the people involved. Drake, the court documents, he's no longer signed to a Cash Money. Yeah. Birdman, who again, Birdman ain't no pushover neither. And then you got Jay Prince and these guys who definitely aren't any pushovers. So
yeah, it's like a 3-headed monster. It's like like 3 or 4 stories in one. You got Drake getting sued by Jay Prince Jr. You got Drake not getting his royalties from his albums that he sold, and then you got Birdman being Birdman and not paying nobody. Because everybody always said like. If you go back to 2003, 2004, remember when Wayne was a free agent?
Yes.
And he was making songs with Jay-Z and hanging out with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z wanted to sign him to Rockefeller. And then all of a sudden, because there were rumors, quote unquote, I don't know how valid this is, but they were saying that Wayne wasn't getting nowhere near amount of money compared to how much revenue he was bringing in for Cash Money. This is before they gave him his own imprint of Young Money. He was repping it, but he didn't have his own label at that point in time, But Jay-Z was going to sign him for a fat-ass amount of money. to take him away from there. But Birdman coughed up the dough. I guess he sold one of his Phantoms or whatever. But
I mean, he gave him the Young Money, and I remember for his birthday that year, he gave Dude $1 million. He gave Dude $1 million cash, which again sounds real nice. But if he's giving him that stuff, just think about the money he's getting.
Exactly. And, obviously, if you're at the top, you're making that money anyway. But he has, like we were saying, he has that bad reputation of fucking his artists over. Because Cash Money at one point in time, they were the shit. But if you think going forward, can you imagine if Cash Money still had Lil Wayne putting out the type of stuff that he was at the time? We'll say 2007, 2008, even going back to 2004 when Wayne was really in his prime, with dedication mixtapes and everything. Imagine if they had Juvie still. They still had fucking Manny Fresh dropping those beats like he was. And, obviously his rhyming was nothing to be, nothing really to write home about. But his beats were nasty. He was really coming into his own as a producer after all those years of kind of being shrouded. But can you imagine that lineup?
And they had him and Baby had the Big Timers thing.
Yeah.
They had a couple of hit songs.
And, because back when they were hot, Lil Wayne was just a punk-ass, snot-nosed kid. Saying drop it like it's hot,
For real.
But he grew into be his own MC, and Juvie was always one of my favorite MCs. Regardless of whatever, Juvie had bars for days, and everybody sleeps on it. And they had Mystical and everything, or not Mystical, but they had, Juvie had bars, and it would have been dope having that whole family when everybody kind of reached the pinnacle. When Wayne hit his prime, Juvie can still flow, Manny on the production. It would have been nice, but Birdman is about his paper.
And it's going to catch up to him. It's definitely going to catch up
absolutely,
to him.
absolutely.
I think this Drake thing, unless Drake bitches out, which he probably will with his little Canadian self.
Drake probably don't give a fuck. He's like, I'm getting paid anyway.
Yeah, probably. And that's, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with this case. We'll keep you guys updated on this joint right here.
So, hold on. Before we hop up off this subject, I kind of hope that he starts his own joint, because our boy is going to be up on that then, right?
The Weeknd.
Yes.
People were saying it, but then I don't see Drake doesn't have that boss feeling to him. He doesn't have that Dre, that Birdman even boss feeling to him. I think he's good with that. Maybe what could happen is Birdman gives him his own OVO XO label, sort of like or maybe Wayne. I'm sorry, I believe he's under Young Money, Cash Money. Man, it's like Pusha T. It's like Pusha T said. You signed to a
nigga that signed to a nigga that signed to three niggas.
Yeah, like that. That's gonna be the deal I could see him ending up with. Let's see. Or maybe be a good look for him. On the Live Nation. Absolutely. On the Live Nation with Jay-Z.
Yeah, if he goes under Rock Nation, then he can definitely set up his own OVO XO imprint easy.
Yeah,
but time will tell. But this is definitely going to be interesting because according to legal documents, if you go to the contract word by word, Drake is a free agent right now. He fulfilled his album obligation, which 4 albums of 10 songs apiece, that's 40 songs. And over the past 3 years, on features, songs with Lil Wayne, album songs, I think that counts mixtapes too. So Drake had already met that commitment. So whether or not he wants to take advantage of that and do his own thing, or if he wants to still I won't say ride Wayne's coattails, because Wayne is a big artist right now, but Drake really is pulling in different people from different areas, and he's really his own genre right now. He's his own entity in music. He is.
Dude's big, and like I said, the Weeknd's about to blow up people. If you're gonna listen to us, the Weeknd, he already is one of the next big things in R&B. Follow him, Twitter him,
Google him. At the Weeknd XO. That's WEEKND. If you don't listen to this dude, if you haven't listened to this dude, you're really pouring Smuckers on yourself.
For real.
There's jelly all over you because you're missing out. But that was our plug for the weekend. So anyway, your boy Snoop, man. What's going on with your boy Snoop?
Snoop went to Jamaica and he must have smoked some craziness, and he changed his name to Snoop Lion.
Snoop lost his fucking mind,
Snoop
man.
lying. I mean, the gimmick will probably work. Snoop's been around rap for like 25 years. Snoop has been around rap for 25 years. I expect a Snoop reggae, and he said it, a Snoop reggae album
Yeah,
coming
that's
out
gonna be
this
the
year.
whole plug.
Coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, Snoop lost his goddamn mind, or he has some good ass weed because he's really reaching here. He's like Dowsing reaching on this, and actually, you know what? I take that back. Snoop's just trying to stay relevant right now. I think really that's the whole thing. He realized that he hasn't really been able to stay in the game, as much as he'd like to, like he was before. And I'm not gonna slander Snoop too much outside of this whole name change thing because Snoop's an icon. He's a legend. He's one of the biggest names in rap. One of the biggest names ever in rap. But the gimmicks have got to stop. They have to, man. You're like 45 years old and you're still getting high.
Talking about he had epiphany or something down
man,
there.
Get the fuck out of here. This nigga's trying to sell records.
Yeah, that's all he's trying to do. Snoop line. He's on that puffy shit, switching his name around.
Somebody, who was it? My man Mills the God on Twitter. He said we were talking about it, and he said he's going to change his name to Snoop Horse when he wants to do country music.
Exactly. Snoop, Kentucky Snoop.
Bluegrass Snoop.
For real, man. He's a gimmick, and like I said, it works for him. He hasn't dropped again. His first album was a classic. Snoop has classic songs. Personally, I don't think he's one of the greats, but
I think he's a legend and icon in the game. I think you can be a legend, you can be an icon, but you don't necessarily have to be on that.
I think he's more of a legend, more so in the era which he came up in or whatever. But not just because of that, not necessarily for any lyrical shit or whatever. But it's almost comical now to see him him from that to this now.
We went from 187 on an undercover cop to rapping over a steel drum beat. So we'll see what this reggae album has. I'm probably not gonna listen to it. That shit, like Big Biz said, it's gonna be the Recycle Bin Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
So there's another show that's getting ready to come out. That's getting ready to drop its second season. That we're gonna talk about a little bit. Hell on Wheels. AMC is really doing their thing right now with these TV shows. They kind of have like a silent takeover. But I know you just told me that you just watched the first episode, right?
I came across the show. I know you mentioned it to me before, and I probably totally forgot it. I was scanning Netflix, and I saw this AMC show on there. And like I said, AMC's been on point with Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead. So I'm like, this would probably be good. Threw it there on my instant. Saw the first. I like the description already. I'm into that old school stuff, and it's a post-Civil War America being built. And like I said, first episode, I'm seeing frontiers. I'm seeing Indians wrecking shit. I'm seeing gangsta ass cowboys. I'm seeing fucking Mos Def on there. Not Mos Def. Common. I'm sorry, Common on there. And the show, like I said, the show's great. I've only seen episode 1 of season 1, and I already love it. I'm probably gonna binge through when we get off this podcast. I'm probably gonna binge through and watch 4 or 5 episodes. I'll probably have that shit done by Monday. Monday night. I'll probably have season 1 done by Monday night. But it looks like it's turning out good so far. You can talk more on it because I know you've already seen season 1. So no spoilers though. No spoilers though.
Okay, yeah, no spoilers. I'll just give y'all a little background for those of you. My girl actually put me onto this. She knows I like westerns. When I was growing up, my pops always watched like Gunsmoke and shit like that. So when I would be at my pop's house when I was a kid, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years old, I would always watch westerns with him. So now I'm an adult. Some of my favorite movies are like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I love westerns. I just love westerns. So anything western pulls me in. So my girl knows that. And she's like, hey, you should check out this show. I saw it on TV. I kind of watched it. You might like it. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So basically, it's in 1865, so it's post-Civil War. The slaves are free. This is one of, I'm a big history nerd. So this really appealed to me. This is one of the interesting times in history where the slaves are free. The country is trying to expand westward. So from a frontier standpoint, there's lots of exploring to do. And from a money standpoint, there's lots of money to be made off that exploring. And this show really capitalized on all of those things where people were kind of idealists and they're like, well, we can head west and we can explore new horizons and this and that and the third. And this show settles around the Union Pacific Railroad, which went from east to west. And as a former Confederate soldier, he comes out on the railroad and tries to get work. But as a side agenda, he's trying to find the Union soldiers who killed his wife and his son. He came back from the war and found his wife hanging on his porch. So obviously he wants revenge. He wants to find out. He has an idea of who does it, so he figures that he can work on the railroad and figure out who did it going through like Kansas and things like that. Common is in it. Common is one of the better actors that I've seen that are rappers.
Yes.
He's really, really, really good in this show. Basically, he gets hired by the railroad, and he's on the cut crew. Obviously, the black folks didn't have the cushy job back then. So what they did was they used the black guys to use the axes and shovels to dig out the land before they laid the track in. So they call it the cut crew, and he's like the supervisor. He's on the cut crew, and they have to prepare the land. And so the main character is Bohannon. He's the main character. He's the supervisor of the blacks, and he's kind of hard on them and everything. And Common's character is like kind of at first he like pushes back a little bit, things like that. But they start to kind of get this relationship, like a bonding type thing. So Bohannon kind of starts prodding more and figuring out what's going on with his wife and things like that. So he starts trying to find more answers. And the head of the railroad, the guy that's behind everything, his name is Mr. Durant. He's pushing everything, like, let's go. He doesn't give a fuck about the workers or anything like that. But the key dynamic is Bohannon's character and Common's character in the show, how they talk to one another. And it's clear that even though he was a Confederate, Bohannon was, and Common's character Elam is a black dude, they respect each other to the point where, actually, I don't even want to give that away because it's kind of a spoiler. But there's other characters. There's a priest who has an adopted son almost. He baptizes this guy.
It's an Indian dude, right?
The Indian dude, yeah. And he changes his name. He's a Cheyenne Indian, and he's basically the Reverend's student, I guess you could say. He wants to learn the ways of Christ, so to speak, and be a Christian and things like that. So he left his land behind. There's so many things going on. There's a lot of race undertones, the way that things go on. All the black guys stuck together, all the white folks. Everybody's doing really hard labor out there. All the money that's driving this, the corruption. I mean, it's just a really good show. There's not a lot of action, but it's such a great story when this guy is trying to find out what happened to his family. And so many things happen on his way where he just wants revenge. All these other side characters and their character development is fantastic. It's almost on Breaking Bad levels of character development. But it's a really, really, really good show, guys. Check it out. It's called Hell on Wheels. I believe that it airs on Sundays. It actually starts next weekend. So I think it comes on Sundays at 9 before Breaking Bad.
Yeah, so I just started watching, so I'm gonna catch up to a bunch of episodes. I'll be on point by next week, and maybe we can talk a little deeper about it.
Yeah, we'll just have to make sure we don't miss 2 weeks, so we don't have 15, 20 minutes worth of Breaking Bad talk.
Basically.
But yeah, as the show goes on, all the shows kind of pop up that Danny and I both watch. We'll probably be talking about them a little bit, just touching on, giving quick recaps and things like that. But yeah, check out Hell on Wheels if you guys get a chance. It's a really, really good show. You won't be disappointed. So, moving along, back to rap for a second. Rick Ross dropped an album, man. A lot of people are saying it is a classic.
Fuck
God
that.
Forgives, I Don't.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
I didn't listen to it. What did you want to drop like a quick kind
I,
of review for the folks?
Listen, if you've heard one Rick Ross fucking song, you've heard them all. This shit's not a classic by any. You know what it is, man? It's that people are starving now, like post digital era, and people are starving now for good music. So even the most mediocre music passes as great music. This is not no classic album. Nas's album is a classic album. This Rick Ross album is not a classic album. It's again, I skimmed through it. I heard the whole thing, skimmed through it, and it's the same beats over the same Rick Ross fake
Oh,
yeah, what's that, Maybach music, that little voice, which even that shit he ripped it from some poor Australian girl which ain't even paying her for. But but yeah, it's the same fake super kingpin bullshit. Which again, if you know his whole story, and we're not even going to entertain that too long, but if you know his whole background
man.
about being a CO, like hearing this dude once again rap about moving crazy amounts of coke and buying Maybachs and mansions
Daddies.
and all that and the models and stuff. Like the shit ain't no classic. I'm sorry, the shit. There's not one memorable song on there. If you really pay attention, there really wasn't one single on there that's big on the radio right now. So
I heard that joint that he did with Jay Z and
oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, there's the Three Kings joint, but again, that's big because he fucking has Dr. Dre and Jay Z on there. You
I
can
heard Jay Z had a dope ass verse on that.
Jay, you haven't heard that, yo Jay?
Nah, I'm telling you, look, you had your little. I honestly, man, I can't stand Rick Ross. He gets on my fucking nerves. I'm tired of this fucking grunt before every goddamn verse. I'm tired of his same bars. Like this dude, I feel like he takes his rhymes, puts the shit in a hat, and just picks out and like does a puzzle of what he wants to say on every fucking verse. Every 16 of his sounds the same to me.
That's
The
it.
same flow. I think the only like every now and again I like a verse from Rick Ross. Like earlier today, I was driving and the song on Bun B's album "You're Everything," where they sampled the Jodeci track.
Yeah.
Rick Ross had a dope verse on there because it was a different flow than what he does. You know what I mean? It's like 1 in 5 Ross verses I like. I wish Ross would go back to rhyming the way that he did on Port of Miami.
That was a one in a lifetime thing. I think for once in a moment thing for him. And the reason
That was
why
his
this
first album.
whole
You know, people like that, when they drop their first album, they're hungry, they want to get noticed, and after that, they fall off because I don't buy that Ross has had was 5, how many albums has he pushed out so far? 5 or 6, right?
no, four. It's 4th one.
4? Okay,
Fourth
my
one.
bad. I really don't pay attention too much.
Four
I do
official
listen to him.
albums. He's
But
put out a
everybody's
couple of
saying that he
mistakes.
has like four mic albums, and I'm not buying it. Port of Miami was a 3.5, 4 mic album at best. I haven't heard shit from him yet that reaches that level.
He's had a couple, like he has his moments. Like I said, the shit gets mundane after a while. If you don't mind listening to the same shit over, then yeah, he's had some good albums. He had if you've heard the Rich Forever mixtape,
That mixtape was dope.
that was a dope mixtape. That could have been an album. But you know what? Again, that's the deal. You got Rich Forever a couple of months ago, and that's as much Ross as I want to hear for the next 2 years. But then he puts out this album, which is basically just a Rich Forever 2. You can call it a Rich Forever 1.5. And what helps this guy is, again, these popular rappers who are on point, they get great production. He has great production on there. But I mean, the reason we've been bringing this Rick Ross up, not just for him dropping another album. Actually, no, I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna save the other point up. But yeah, Ross dropped another album. It's not worth the iTunes buy. It's not worth the Amazon buy. Yeah, I'm saying it. I'm saying don't support these fucking artists until they start putting out real classic music. You want to support somebody? Go support Nas. Life is Good. That's a classic album. Go download this fucking Rick Ross album. I might fuck around and give you the link if I'm feeling happy later on.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm tired of him rapping over Lex Luger beats. I'm tired of Lex Luger beats. My homeboy, one of my best friends, he's from South Carolina, and he loves everything that comes out of Southern music. And I love Southern rap. I lived in Georgia. I was hip to a lot of that shit back in the day. I love Texas rap. The Texas rap a little bit different, but I just want to throw that in there. I'm tired of fucking Lex Luger beats, man. I'm tired of that wind up before every beat. I'm tired of every snare sounding the same. I'm tired of every drum track sounding the same. I'm tired of this shit. They need a breath of fresh air down there. Something. I'm sick of it, man. The only thing good about these southern producers lately, besides Drummer Boy makes dope tracks. I will never slander Drummer Boy. Lex Luger can make some iron tracks, but he uses the same sound over and over again. It's like he has a beat, and he's like, okay, I'm going to pull this kick out of here, and I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to pull this 808 out of here, and I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to pull this synth right here, and I'm going to put that here. And that's how he does. He just switches everything around. I'm so sick of hearing it. And it's like Rick Ross and Lex Luger go hand in hand with these beats, and it's the same shit, like he said. It's the same beat, the same flow, all over again.
And like I said, don't fucking support these people until they start putting out better music. It may sound cruel, but fuck that. Don't start supporting people.
You know what though, man? Fuck that. Because as much as they talk about riding around in their Phantom and their Bugatti
and rich
popping Mollies and all of that, popping bottles in the club, fuck them. I make $35,000 a year.
Indeed, I ain't got no Phantom.
Exactly. Like my Twitter name, I don't give a fuck.
0 fucks given.
Exactly. On any day when it comes to that shit.
For real.
I'll support some hardworking artists like Big Crit, The Weeknd. I support those dudes. Like Crit does his own production more often than not, and he writes his rhymes.
And they're putting out quality music, people.
Exactly. Quality music.
That's the thing. It's quality music. It's quality music. For real. But, yo, what is going on over in your state with them Penn State boys, man? I know this might be an old story by now, but again, I think this thing is so big. What happened? Yo, they shut them people. They shut them.
They threw Penn State they threw the football program in the bushes, man.
They threw that college in the bushes.
I mean, okay. I'm from PA. I live maybe 2 hours from State College, where Penn State University is. Penn State football here is king, okay? It's huge here. Saturdays, all the TVs in the bars are on the Penn State game. Everybody's got their Nittany blue on. Everybody's repping the Nittany Lions. I mean, it's beautiful. In the stadium, when they have whiteout games, Beaver Stadium holds 100 some odd thousand fans. And on a night game, at a whiteout game, everybody's dressed in white and everybody's yelling and screaming. It's beautiful. As a sports fan, it's fucking beautiful. It's a beautiful campus. It's a good school. It's a great school academically wise. Has great prestige for football and has a great wrestling program. Don't Cuban beat me with the wrestling. We can debate this another time. But they have a great wrestling team up there. Actually, it's probably their best floor right now. But those of you that do know, the NCAA did decide to step in and put sanctions on their football team. I'm actually looking for the exact sanctions. But
I have it. I have it open. It was
You have it open?
Yeah, dude. It's a $60 million sanction, a 4-year football postseason ban, and they took away all their wins dating back to 1998. And they also must reduce 10 initial and 20 total scholarships each year for a 4-year period. So, I mean...
See, I didn't like that. I agree with a lot of the stuff that he did. I don't think that they should punish the kids. Because a lot of the kids in this area... See, I'm going to go on a rant now. A lot of the kids in this area, there's people in the NFL from this area. LaShawn McCoy is from Harrisburg. There's a lot of guys from this area that... They didn't necessarily go to Penn State, but they're from the area, and a lot of kids want to stay local. That fucks a lot of kids up whose grades aren't quite good enough to get into a school as prestigious as Penn State academically, so they want to play football for a great program, and that has that history of playing for Joe Paterno before his name got kicked in the dirt, which was rightly so, because he turned an eye to the monstrosities that were happening. I won't defend that bullshit, but I don't think that they should have taken the scholarship away from the kids, because at the end of the day, you put these sanctions on to protect the kids that were violated, over the last 2 decades, but only to punish the older kids that want to go to school, that want to make something, so they have to go to a different school. Maybe they had it set up growing up watching Penn State football, and that's what they want to do.
I mean, I think they did it more than anything. So, yeah, they could have punished them a different way, but yeah, they did it more than anything. They did that to to, and I think, yeah, to push the football team, so they can't offer these scholarships to these great high school players or whatever. And I don't know. As me personally, they should have fined these motherfuckers $200 million and took away all their fucking wins, because what went down there was unexcusable, and the people that knew, like, and I mean, this just wasn't this a couple of isolated incidents where nobody knew. I mean, there were the top people knew about this shit and blatantly covered it up. So like I said, man, they got thrown in the bushes. Definitely, they got thrown in the bushes. Definitely, they're done. Their program's pretty much done.
I mean, they gave. I don't know. I know you don't follow sports too much. The NCAA granted an exception for the kids that wanted to transfer. They can transfer out to another school without having to sit a year.
Yeah, I heard about that.
NCAA transfer rules. If you want to transfer schools to another Division I school, you have to sit out a year for eligibility. So you forego a year of eligibility. One of our running backs, Silas Red, transferred to USC, University of Southern California, so he can play right away out there. I don't blame these kids one bit if they want to transfer.
Me neither.
I don't blame them one bit.
And I'm sure a lot of them are going to take advantage of that shit if they already have it.
Right. And to the kids that stayed to play up here, I'm going to support you guys. I'm going to watch you guys on Saturdays. Shout out to my man Junior Gong on Twitter. He's from Altoona, PA. He lives up further state. We're both Penn State fans. We're going to continue to support. I know a lot of people that I know are going to support Penn State football still. I don't support everything that happened before, obviously not. I feel like the sanctions were just for the most part because it's the lack of institutional control. You have to control what goes on in your football program, and you're enabling your people in leadership positions to commit those types of acts. Then shit falls from the top down. You know what I mean? And you have to go, if you got to kill the snake, you got to cut the head off. And, in a roundabout way, that's what happened. Sandusky got thrown in jail. Paterno died. I don't have any remorse. I don't want to speak ill will of the dead. But everybody that was involved in this in some way or another, I'm sorry if it sounds cruel, everybody, but they got what was coming to them.
Exactly. Exactly, man. Like I said, I hope every Sandusky, hope you get got in jail. Hope some bloods run up on you and just everything, man. Fuck that sick psycho motherfucker, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I still support my team. We are Penn State.
They'll bounce back, man. They'll bounce back. It's gonna be a bunch of years.
It's great, and I hope everybody. I was talking on Twitter earlier. I hope everybody just focuses on football this year. Don't focus on all that bullshit. Let those fucking kids play football. It's gonna be an emotional season. A lot of those kids cared about Paterno as a coach, and he was a great coach. He was a father figure to a lot of those guys. I do respect the things that he did on the football field. I just don't give a fuck anymore. That really tarnished his whole legacy. Yeah. And I'm going to get to that in our next segment. I guess I could just transition to that right now. I guess a lot of people are liking our new segment, Danny. Pull your skirt down, B.
Yeah, we're exposing people one bitch ass act at a time.
Yeah, that is perfect. So, since I was already talking about, let me go into mine and then I'll let you hop on yours. Yeah. Like I said, I live in PA. I was reeling on some positive shit a second ago. I'm gonna call some folks out, not necessarily by name, but as a group. All you people that are fucking complaining about Joe Paterno should have never had his wins taken away because he was still coaching, fuck that shit, yo. Dude knew what he was doing. He turned an eye to that bullshit. He let Sandusky touch them boys. Whatever. I don't want to get into many graphics because it's not cool. It's disgusting. But everybody that's complaining about this shit, I see everybody on Facebook. Obviously, they're from the area. Everybody is getting all bleeding heart and throwing up protesting about this shit, about Joe Paterno having his wins taken away. Now he's not the all-time winningest coach and all that shit. Cop and please for this dude, so to speak. Focus on football. The man did what he did. Pull your fucking skirt down. Look at what he did instead of what he did on the football field. This shit is bigger than football. You know what I mean? This shit goes beyond football. This goes beyond the school. This goes beyond the state of Pennsylvania. This goes beyond sports. And everybody's copping please because they said, oh, he didn't actually do it. Fuck that shit. Pull your skirt down if you're supporting all this bullshit.
It's like this fucking man. And then people that do it. I remember when I forgot what happened the other day. They were rioting on campus or some shit like that.
Yo, bro, I'm telling you.
Yo, I wish I would have been on that.
To have some Watts type shit up there.
I wish I would have been on that motherfucking campus.
And then everybody, matter of fact, you know what actually prompted me to use these people as my pull your skirt down segment?
What's that?
They was complaining that they took the man's statue.
Get the fuck out of here.
You should see, I was talking about, I think I told you the other day, I should have screenshot. Next time I see that shit, I'm going to screen cap this stuff. Because I know it's going to come back, because football season's only about 3-4 weeks away from starting. So people are going to get all emotional about this stupid shit. Their skirts are going to rile all up to their navel, like my man 8-Ball said. They're going to come up. And I'm going to screen cap this shit. And I'm going to put them on our site. I'm going to post them on our Twitter that we're getting ready to come soon. So y'all can look at this fucking bullshit that's going around here. Because people can't look to the football team. They're all riled up with some 87-year-old man who wasn't right in the head to begin with to turn his eye to the bullshit that was going on in his program.
Ain't that motherfucker died too? Didn't he die recently or some shit?
What's that?
Didn't he die too recently?
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, man. Fuck that dead motherfucker, man. Let a bunch of little boys get raped and shit, man.
Yeah,
and that's what people are saying. That's what people want to defend. Like, you're rioting for this man. Fuck his wins. You should be out there rioting for them fucking little kids who's getting ass fucked in the shower. That's what the fuck you should be out there rioting. I'm telling you, I wish I would have been smacking people fucking bricks up their head if they went up there rioting about that dumb shit.
I'm telling you, bro. And they had the statue like sectioned off, and they threw a tarp over it, and people were outside complaining about it. I'm like, yo, this dude is a fucking enabler. How can you? Oh, well, he won so many games for our program. Get the fuck out of here. Like I said, it's bigger than football, man. It's deeper than football. What they say, it's deeper than rap. It's deeper than football.
Deeper than football, man.
It's deeper than football. So, for my last time, all you people that are trying to ride for Joe Pa and all that, I understand what he did for the sport. I understand what he did for Penn State football. I get all that. I feel you. I was riding that wave. But in light of everything that happened, man, fuck this dude. And if you're still supporting him, if you're still crying over his statue getting taken away, pull your fucking skirt down, B.
All the way down.
1960 style, down past your knees.
Man, you went in. I told you, man, I
was gonna go in.
I might as well, let me pick up my pull your skirt down.
Because I know, because we both gonna go in on this one.
My pull your skirt down is going off to the officer himself, Officer Ricky Ross, for some bitch ass Twitter shit. So apparently
it's always Twitter that's exposing the bitch in niggas.
He tweets the following on Twitter: real niggas use fuckboys for inspiration. Hashtag God forgives, I don't. I'm assuming it was this Asian kid right here responds to him, you're the fuckboy though. Now, after this, Officer Rick Ross feels compelled to direct message this kid with the message, your mom would lace my Reebok chump. And this kid gets your boy Ross by saying, yeah, my mom's a nice lady. She would most likely help a fat ass ex-cop who can never reach his toes tie his shoes. Ross is a chump for that. For trying to punk. Son, that is some dirt. When's the last time you heard somebody? Because all he did was basically say your mother. When's the last time you seen somebody say your mother? I haven't heard that shit since 3rd grade.
Yo, somebody tried to hit me with that shit on Twitter the other day. I won't go into that right now, but I just made him feel like shit. You already know why. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah. I remember that shit.
So I made him feel like shit. Just for being a dickhead like that. That's some. This nigga might as well have said, I know you are, but what am I?
I remember that shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, direct message, goes ahead and direct message the fucking kid. But again, like the kid said, what can you expect from a fucking ex-police officer who thinks he's a real-life drug lord? Yo, these rappers, and this dude is the playbook for it, let these characters go to their fucking heads. And his name, even down to his name, Rick Ross got his name from another dude who was an actual.
He stole his whole shit. He stole his shit.
Man. The whole thing about dude is fake. His character, his stories. This dude never did 5-10 years for no possession or distribution of shit, of nothing. This dude did a couple of years as the fucking dude opening and closing the gates.
He does not know the real Noriega. He does not not owe him 100 favors.
Man, when I heard that shit, man, that shit's if people know who Noriega was about.
You sent me that link, man, and I was at work and I started crying.
That shit's fucking comedy. So yeah, Officer fucking Ricky. I ain't gonna go into too much. Again, I doubt he hears my shit, but I don't want Officer Ricky direct messaging me on fucking Twitter. Actually, I do.
Actually, let Officer Ricky DM me or you. You know that shit.
I do. Cause
I'm setting the internet on fire.
I'm doing like Game did. I'm opening up OfficerRickyDirectMessage.com or some shit. But yeah, pull your fucking skirt down, Officer Ricky, trying to fake threaten people on Twitter for telling the truth about you, because you is a fuck boy.
Perfect. Bravo. So, wrapping up, going on to our last segment, our Netflix pick of the week. You want to go ahead with yours, man? Since you already got the ball of fire rolling.
Yeah. I'm gonna start off with my Netflix pick of the week for this week is a Korean movie called Sector 7. It's based on an oil rig. I mean, I don't want to get into too much details with you guys. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, or however you want to look at it. It's a Korean oil rig. They're out drilling for oil or whatever, and some scientists had performed some experiments, and now there's a monster unleashed on the oil rig, and he's raising hell. The whole movie is shot good. There's a good amount of action. The actors did a good job. The monster itself is not really an extra corny monster. So again, the reason it doesn't get 5 out of 5 stars for me was because of the ending. And the movie is a 2-hour long movie. Could have been maybe half an hour shorter, had a little bit quicker pace. But definitely check out Sector 7 on Netflix as my Netflix pick of the week.
Sounds good, man. I might have to check that shit out. So my Netflix pick of the week is a mockumentary called Death of a President. It's a 2006 mockumentary about the fictitious assassination of George W. Bush. It doesn't really have spoilers because it's a documentary style movie. Give you guys a quick background. In 2007, there was I think it was the Financial Summit, if I'm not mistaken, in Chicago. And obviously Chicago's a big city and the downtown area is huge. So they started by talking about how all the Secret Service, what they do, how they protect the motorcade, because the president was exposed to the crowd because they were in cars, obviously, and people like to protest, especially with George Bush. So there was just massive amounts of people, and in the story, George Bush gets assassinated. Obviously it's fake, but what this documentary shows you is it's got a lot of great. The cinematography in here is fantastic. It's shot excellent. All the shots are like CGI'd with Bush, with fictional things. These people that are playing as the Secret Service agents. It's a lot of great CGI that looks real. And it goes on to kind of go into what happens with the assassination, what happens to the attack, and the events leading up to it. And then also, which a lot of movies don't do, is the after effects of what happens to, with an event like this, because we haven't seen it a whole hell of a lot. And obviously, George Bush is not one of everyone's favorite presidents anyway. But there is a Middle Eastern man and woman that play a predominant role in this. And the story is just excellent. If you guys got an hour or two,
yeah, I know you've been recommending this one to me for a minute.
Yeah,
and I might just mess. I'm gonna go on a little binge. I'm gonna finish up this bottle of Henny. Shout out to Hennessy. Throw some cases and we'll promote you guys more. But I might go on a little binge and watch that after this. But I know you've been talking about that one. That sounds dope.
Bro. I'm telling you, man. You watch that shit, you're gonna have the Weebay face for like a good portion of it.
That sounds dope. Fuck George Bush while we at it.
Hey, George Bush kept my pockets fat when I was in the army, so I ain't gonna say too much shit. But I mean, anyway, it's really, really good because there's a little bit of corruption in the movie. It goes through a length of time. It's not like, it's 2 days before the conference. George Bush talks all shit. George Bush is dead. Okay, movie over. It goes on and on about a couple of different characters. Somebody turns up dead. There's some confidential, top secret type shit going around to see who was really in on this plot. Like, they did a great job of looking like a real investigation would, going into talking to people and things like that. And obviously, you know, it's not real, but it really sucks you in. Like I said, if y'all don't know what we're talking about, there's a clip on The Wire. We based on McNulty, right?
Yeah.
And he's got that, like, oh. He's got that, and that's what I'm talking about with the Weebay face. But check it out. It's a really, really, really cool-ass documentary. And I think the same dude that was in Street Thief is in this as well.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. So if you guys get to check it out, it's called Death of a President. It's really, really good. I give it 5 out of 5 stars.
For real.
So that wraps up everything. Danny, you got some shout-outs, man?
Yeah. I want to give a shout-out to a couple of people. Always some of my lovely female friends on Twitter. Shout-out to the beautiful Jessie Rogers, who did a wonderful interview for me. Shout-out to the beautiful, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Liani. She's doing an interview. We're actually in the process of doing an interview. Just got to get some information back from her. Shout out to Paige Payne. She's doing a photo shoot for me with some watermarked pictures for the Kali or whatever, hooking that up. Shout out to my man Hot Rod from G Unit. Hot Rod's been a big time supporter. He was pushing our podcast over there on Twitter. I'm gonna do an interview with him and give it a couple of weeks. I'm gonna have Hot Rod up here chopping it up with us or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude's a really cool dude. But yeah, that's where I pretty much want to give a shout out to. Shout out to the listeners. We skipped a week, but you guys, you can find us everywhere now. Stitcher. We're on YouTube. Check out the YouTube page. Follow us on YouTube. Comment. Not comment on the videos. We have comments off for now, but share the links on the videos, and you guys know where to find us.
Yeah, just shout out to everybody that's listening, man. Like, you guys have really helped us put up a really good following as of late. We really appreciate it. We're just having fun out here on some Brett Favre type shit. But I got some quick shout outs. Shout out to liquidonthekali.com. First and foremost, let me shout out thekali.com, blog.thekali.com. Danny and I are both writers. We're both featured personalities from the Kali. We do all this work from the Kali. Shout out to those guys. The admins keep us up on everything that we need. Shout out to BK. Shout out to Brooklyn Sun. Couple of shout outs from the Kali. Shout out to Liquid. Shout out to Exodus Nirvana for listening. My man, Some Black Guys on Twitter. Illadope. Everybody that listen, my man Prince Bammer, Doc Vic, appreciate you listening, man. Natty Boy, he dropped us a comment, said he really enjoys listening to us. We appreciate your feedback, man. We appreciate everybody that's giving us some constructive criticism. Everybody that takes time out to listen. Hit us up on Twitter. We got our own Twitter coming up soon. If you guys got questions, comments,
topics,
you can hit Danny up. Where can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter at Newark Hip Hop. Guys, if you have any topics you want us to touch on or any topics you disagree with, hit me up on Twitter. Give me the Ricky Rose treatment. DM me. Hit me with that DM. I ain't got no problem with it.
Shit, you can at me. I don't got no problem with my shit being in public. You can find me on Twitter at IGiveZeroFucks. That's FUKKS. Like I said, GeekSet Twitter coming soon. You can email us thegeekset@gmail.com. Next week, we're about to fuck the game up. We got a new segment coming up that y'all are going to bug off of. It's going to be an ongoing segment. Danny and I about to go to war on the next one. But, yeah, shout out to everybody. We got it coming up. And pretty soon, we're in the middle of working on a Google Hangout roundtable discussion. We're going to schedule it soon. We know there's people that's interested. Everybody's going to hop on their webcams. And we're just going to do it big. So we're going to try and do that once every couple of months, see if there's enough people interested in. So give us your feedback if that's something that you guys would be interested in doing. Don't be scared. Show your face. It's fine. Nobody gives a fuck about you anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for listening.
Peace.
For Danny, I'm Judd. This is GeekSet Radio. We out.